I am a representative on behalf of all clear people, here to talk about all the things that were left out of our textbook about the holiday Juneteenth, why it was temporarily lost to history, and how one amazing teacher helped to make it a federally recognized holiday. So it's January 1st, 1863, and President Lincoln delivers his Emancipation Proclamation, which frees all the enslaved people. Record scratch. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It frees all enslaved people who were in the states rebelling against the Union. But this should have been an important moment for the enslaved people in Confederate states like Texas, except for they didn't know about it. Because even despite the fact that communication was slow in that era, and despite the fact that many enslaved people couldn't read, enslaved people in Texas didn't find out about this for 2.5 years. There's a few conspiracy theories surrounding this. One, that Lincoln's messenger that was sent to tell them was unalived, that Lincoln's cabinet itself didn't want this order to go through, that Texas needed to get more crops harvested. Likely all of the above. But eventually, in 1865, General Gordon Granger shows up in Galveston, Texas to read Order Number 3. So he shows up and he's like, hey, the war's over, you're not enslaved anymore. But it would be a really good idea if you kind of stuck around with the people who enslaved you, and they'll just like pay you wages now. Now, I understand that some of your Mayo-tinted brethren might have tried to convince you that those that were the enslavers, they treated their enslaved workers pretty well. So obviously they would want to stick around and earn some fair wages by the people who owned them as property. But I'm here to tell you, false. They ran like the wind. Most left to go find other family members that they had lost. This wasn't enforceable. So in fact, some of the enslavers came after the enslaved. They were unaliving them. And so many would want to celebrate this date to commemorate the time that they were freed from their oppressors. They weren't truly free, and they couldn't truly celebrate because Jim Crow laws would create a lot of segregation and inability for them to congregate in public. It forced many blacks from rural areas into urban areas where they had to work and would be unable to take off time to have a holiday. But along comes Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and he organizes a Poor People March on this date. And those participants went back to their towns and took the celebrations with them. But that wasn't enough because the melanin deficients don't understand history, and they're like, we already have an Independence Day. Not understanding that that was independence from Britain, and that did not apply to people who were not free as free people. In part 2, we'll talk about Miss Opal Lee and how her work led it to become a federal holiday.